Yay. All right. Well, it says I'm live. There we go. I can see it now. All right. Hello, everybody. Good to see you guys. All right. Let's see who all we got in the house this evening. Aaron, oh, you'll be on an airplane. You know, it's always fun to watch these things from the airplane. I used to do the same thing. Are you on your way to Hawaii? I used to do the same thing. And I have an interesting photo of a time when I was on an airplane and a dog, I might have mentioned this in the last video, a dog just had crawled up through the seats and popped his little head right up between my feet. It was pretty awesome. Okay. Hi, Rosie. It's good to see you. Sherry, how are ya? Pat, good to see you too. Sharon, hola, welcome. Did I say hello to Rosie already? Yes, Rosie and Sherry and Mel. Happy Monday. Kathy, good to see you also. Let's see who else we got in the house. Karen. And there we go. Nunya, why is your name escaping me now? Cheryl, right? I think I got it. Caroline, how are you? Good to see you. Kimberly, welcome, welcome. And then there was me. Hello, everybody. Kim, good to see you. I'm just going through all these quick hellos. Donna, hello. And new rescue dog came home Friday. Questioning life choices. Okay. Yep. And we can even talk about some of that stuff when we do decide to bring a new animal companion into our home. And I am so with you guys on that. Even with Gypsy, when I was not prepared for another animal in my home, I was not prepared to bring another dog into my home. And somehow Gypsy found her way, snuggled her way into my heart and into our home without us even recognizing. And it brought up a whole lot in the beginning, but in the end, this has turned out to be one of the best decisions of my life. And she's now been with us for 4 years. Yes, tomorrow is Gypsy's birthday, July 9th. Gypsy will be 5 years old. So tomorrow is Gypsy's birthday. A lot of difficulty. Yep. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read too fast. So I will come back to comments in just a second. First of all, welcome to everybody. Thank you for joining me. Happy Monday. Good to have you here. Hope everybody who is in the US and celebrated 4th of July had a nice, relaxing weekend. I was dog sitting and the whole fireworks thing. I'm not going to judge and I'm not going to preach. I just know that it was pretty stressful. For doggies. They don't understand, and I can only imagine what it's like for our wildlife. I get it. I love fireworks. I love to watch them. I love to see them. There's something where I used to live a long time ago. We had fireworks that were timed to very patriotic music, and the whole thing was, it just made it was a really feel-good event. But now I take it from a whole different perspective. And I know that there's people out there who don't enjoy fireworks either. But regardless, as I said, I wasn't going to preach. So I hope you had a beautiful, relaxing weekend wherever you are in the world. I hope that your weekend itself was relaxing. If you are watching this as a replay, scroll ahead 5 minutes. I always like to take a couple minutes just to tune in with everybody, see how everybody's doing, play catch up. And then we're going to start talking about the psychic power of pets, because the psychic powers of pets are also the psychic powers of pizza. They're also the psychic powers of people. And I am going to give you a little exercise to do to prove that this thing that we call psychic ability is not, it's not weird. It's not woo-woo. It's not spirituality. It's not metaphysics. It's natural. It's a natural part of who we are. And I'm going to hopefully try to show you and demonstrate that for you this evening. Okay, so let's just take a couple of thank you for the happy birthdays to Gypsy. And thank you guys for your support as always, the way that you guys support each other. I have spoken to a couple different people this week and suggested that they join this video on, this live stream on Mondays, specifically for the community and the support that we, not just me, but all of us, all of you, to see your comments in support of each other and welcoming each other into a community of people who understand each other, who understand the emotions, who understand the grief, who understand that grief has no timeline, who don't judge us because we're grieving the loss of our animal companions. There are times, even though it has been 4 years, August 1st, no, not the 1st. I'll have to look up the exact date, but when Lucy crossed in 2020 and then Winston a few days after her, I still cry about them, and it's perfectly okay. I just cry because I miss their physical presence. I know that Lucy is right here. She has not ever left my heart. I've shared the story many times of Lucy's passing and how when she passed with that one big, beautiful breath, it didn't pass through me, it passed into me. And I can't explain that feeling unless you feel it yourself. There are no words to describe that she didn't come out the other side and go off into heaven. She went right into my heart. But I still cry for her physical presence. I was telling the story of her eyes. I don't think I've posted that video yet. The look she would get in her eyes. She was such a foodie, and it was such a good memory to think of that look in her eyes. Like, are we going to have food? Is this food time? Because I love food, and it's chocolate. Not Dog's not supposed to have chocolate, and it's chocolate. That is the look that she would get in her eye, and it brings back such good memories. But I miss her. I miss her face. I just miss holding her face and seeing her face. Okay, so where we go. So we support each other. We understand each other's feelings. We know that their partnership has been with us forever. Their companionship is with us forever. And this is not, it's something completely different when we talk about our animal companions, not only as family members, companions, partners, but true soulmates. So for all of you who are new to the group, you are so welcome to be here, and we will support you in whatever way that we can. All right, so tonight we are going to talk about the psychic power of pets here and on the other side. And go ahead and share your stories of any incidents that you have noticed that you would consider something psychic from an animal companion that shared life in their physical body, or from our animal companions on the other side. Because when they get to the other side, those abilities, it's more than just psychic intuition. It is the magical ability to manipulate energy that gets our attention. We'll talk about that in just a minute. All right, let me do a quick check of comments, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. We're about 7 minutes in. When we I'm reading Kim's comment. I only get a little smidge of the comments here. When we let our animals show us the way, part of what we're going to talk about tonight, when we let them demonstrate for us how to get in touch with them. And the exercise that I'm going to do with you tonight, I am hoping is a way that you can really, truly, even if it's the very first time, make a connection with your animal companions on the other side. So we're going to go through a quick little exercise that I think will do it for you. Love to hear that song. You should have Elaine post it. What song was that? I'm going to have to scroll back up and see. Or if you guys want to just give me a quick reminder, because I only get a smidge of songs. Of songs. I only get a little smidge of comments, so I can't see them all. Our little song, and of him calling me. Okay, you'll have to remind me of what that is. Okay, here we go. We're going to talk about the psychic power of animals. And there is a book that I want to recommend to you guys. And I always do this because I am, as I have told you guys before, I am the woman who spent 35 years in corporate as a type A control freak, had to understand the why behind everything, the how behind everything, in control. If you want to define a classic type A personality, the helicopter parent, everything, that was me. And when I had my beautiful spiritual awakening, which many of you have now joined me on this journey, when I had this beautiful spiritual awakening, it started as far back as 2012 that I can remember. I remember the specific summer in 2012, 2012, and it was Jack and I and Lucy, and we were walking in their favorite wooded park in Wisconsin, and I have no explanation of what happened when I realized that all of a sudden I sensed this really strong connection. And I just had a feeling that if you've ever had that feeling, it's part of your psychic ability. If you've ever had that feeling that something was about to shift, that something was about to change, that you were right on the cusp of something, and that it was almost a little scary, but more like anticipation. Like if you were at the top of a roller coaster and you're going click, 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 all the way up to the top, and you know that you're about to go like that. That is that feeling at the very top, right before your tummy sinks. That's the feeling I had. And then little by little, every year since 2012, it has been something more and more and more profound. And now how many years are it? It's a dozen years later, 12 years later, that now I still receive so many beautiful insights. But anyhow, the point of that was that I still like to know some of the why. I like to be able to demonstrate how this is really a thing, and that it's not all in your imagination, and that it's not all hairy fairy hippy dippy woo woo, that there's some real science behind this stuff. So I recommend this book, Dogs That Know When Their Owners Are Coming Home and Other Unexplained Powers of Animals. The author's name is Rupert Sheldrake. He's got several good books, but this is one that I really like because he did a lot of research, put a lot of research into this, and got a lot of anecdotal stories, but we shouldn't dismiss anecdotal stories. So much of our medical, everything is based in anecdote. It all started as an anecdote somewhere before somebody took the time to go and document those anecdotes to the point where they could come to some fairly sound conclusions. So that's the book, Dogs That Know When Their Owners Are Coming Home. So what are some of the psychic things that we're talking about? And the word psychic itself can be a turnoff to people. It's so full of baggage and hype, and we've given it such hippy dippy, hairy fairy, yeah, psychic. Yeah, she says she's a psychic. She can talk to pets on the other side of life. I get it all the time. I totally get it. So if I could just come up with a better description of what that is, but our natural intuition, perhaps psychic intuition is better than psychic ability. Psychic ability, people think of, an old woman sitting with robes around her head and looking into a crystal ball. But it's so much more than that. It's a natural function of who we are. And I'm going to try to show that to you in a little bit. So some of the things that we're talking about when it comes to animals, and I'm talking about animals now on this side of life. So animals who are still in their physical body, both wild animals and domestic animals, they know. And there is something genetic and that's instinctual about animal behaviors that we would call instinct, but there is something that goes far beyond instinct. And this is where I would encourage you to put anything in the comments that you guys stories that you may have of animals who have demonstrated something that is beyond what would be normal behavior or even beyond normal instinctual behavior. For example, premonitions. I would talk about premonitions, telepathy, precognition, sight. What do you call that one? Not clairsentience, clairvoyance. When you've got clear sight is what that means. So anything that has clair before it, like clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, it just means clear. Clairaudience is clear hearing, clairvoyance, clear sight, clairsentience, clear knowing, that kind of thing. So telepathy, premonitions, precognition, clairvoyance. And I'm going to explain a little bit about some of the examples that I have, and then how they demonstrate that and even more from the non-physical or the other side of life, and how we have these same abilities and on the other side of life. Examples of premonitions. When animals, I know, I don't see her on here this evening, but I have a very, very beautiful friend who lives in Ireland. Caroline, it's not you, lives in Ireland, whose dog let her know she was pregnant before she knew. Her dog started acting in such a way and that made her question, why does my dog keep approaching my abdomen? Why is my dog acting this way, that way? Why is my dog being overprotective of me? And she realized she had an intuitive insight that she might be pregnant. And sure enough, her doggie had announced the pregnancy long before she would have recognized it. Dogs who can predict seizures, epilepsy, when there's a reason why dogs are good service dogs. And it's not just because you may say, all right, their sense of smell is so much stronger than a human sense of smell. Very true. Their sense of sound, all of those regular senses, all the normal five senses, can be more advanced than humans, or just at a different level than humans. And so perhaps they're able to smell something like a disease, like cancer. They can smell when there's an illness. They can smell diabetics is another good example. Dogs can pick up on diabetes. I've the stories of children who have been diabetic, and the dog is the one who diagnosed them before their parents took them to the doctor. And that does come from an advanced sense of physical senses, but there's something well beyond that, being able to predict seizures. But it's why they make amazing service animals. And even as service animals, there's a school of thought that suggests that we should not be putting animals to work in jobs that they do not choose. I get the sense that our doggies have chosen, that our dogs have specifically chosen to be service dogs, to be dogs who can help find people who are lost, dogs who can help sniff certain things, bomb sniffing dogs, even though that I totally disagree with. There's like absolutely nothing there that I agree with. But I'm specifically thinking of dogs who are able to find people who might be buried after a natural avalanche or some other natural disaster. There's something that goes well beyond just physical senses for them to be able to pick those things up. They can sense and find, and it's the whole reason why shows like Lassie ever came to be, because people had witnessed this for many years before we created a TV show around it and Hollywood made something of it. So that's one thing. Premonitions. Telepathy. Telepathy is simply a form of communication that does not involve language or does not involve sound. Telepathy is mind-to-mind communication. And for animals, it happens all the time. All the time. Animal-to-animal communication among the same species. I've got some little fly going on around here. Animal-to-animal communication among the same species is very common. Dogs understand each other, whether it's aggressive or submissive or just introducing themselves to each other. Dogs understand each other and how to communicate with each other without using language. But then interspecies, bees, that's another example. Bees have an intense form of communication. Any other examples you guys can think of, animals that communicate with each other? Dolphins, whales, all of these animals have a form of communication that does not involve vocalization or language. There might be some vocalization with with dolphins and whales. But when you get something, so I've got a picture of my beautiful grand dog, Stanley, and I was farm sitting with a couple of horses, and Stanley was there with me, and Stanley and a horse stood nose to nose. So here's Stanley, here's the horse, they're standing nose to nose, and no exchange of information that I could see or hear, but I could see it. They were clearly exchanging some kind of information that I was excluded from. There's no way for me to know what they were talking about. But the two of them stood for a good 5 minutes, just nose to nose. There was no like sniffing, no like checking each other out, seeing, horse and what are you, a dog going, you smell interesting. It wasn't like that. They were nose to nose. And I would love to know what it is that they were communicating to each other, because they clearly were communicating. And then we're going to talk about precognition in just a second, but I want to look at some comments first. Jeannie pawed gently and nosed me whenever you felt bad on the couch. They understand our emotions. They are so in tune with us. They know when we are in need of a snuggle, a cuddle, or just someone a neck to grab around. They are very, very attuned to our state of mind. And that alone is a clear example of their ability to psychically connect, their ability to intuitively understand our emotional needs, our energy. I say it all the time. Every single one of my dogs, but in particular, Gypsy and Jack. Gypsy and Jack will leave a room if they sense any kind of tension whatsoever. Even if it was me freaking out on my computer for not doing this, that, or the other thing, they would leave the room. They were so attuned, and they didn't want any part of it. They wanted no part of that energy. They wanted no part of my stress, none of it. So that's the way they demonstrated it to me, is by leaving the room. Also, not just a psychic form of communication, but an actual form of communication. Amazing beings are all animals, for sure. Animals have it all over us. They're just, yeah. It's why I love to work with animals. Animals they've been my best teachers. They're so awesome and amazing. And I don't know where I'd be today without all the animals in my life and all the things that they've taught me. Gary used to make me laugh. He would look right at me and do silly things right when you'd need it. Exactly. They know. When I say may animals light your way, I mean it in every possible way that you can interpret that, because they know and they get us and they choose to be our partners despite us. They choose to be our partners in life because they help, they teach us, they show us, they comfort us, they support us. And then when they cross to the other side, it does not stop. It only gets better. Okay, we'll keep on going. My name is Kali, like Holly, but with a C. Oh, good. Hey, Kali, it's nice to meet you. And I love to know everybody's names, because we have some funky handles for YouTube, so I don't always get everybody's name. Okay, precognition. Precognition would be things like storms, fires, avalanches, any natural disaster, and dogs who know when their owners are coming home. Those things are all examples of precognition. So we might be able to explain that if there was a cancer, that a dog might be able to smell it. But can we explain why an hour before, or I don't care if it's 10 minutes before, their human companion walks through the door, they've been sitting at the front door fully well aware that their human is coming home? I've stories of cats and dogs who have just gone to the window and sat there fully knowing that any moment their human companion was going to be driving up in the car. Though that's the precognition kind of thing. Anybody ever have that happen to them? I'm just curious if anybody has ever had. And birds too. Birds have such an unusual, I have a distinct connection with wild birds, like with birds outside, who have got a way of communicating that is, that's obvious if we stop and listen, if we stop and let them come to us. And then the birds who come to us and allow other souls to come through them, that is a psychic power. When we talk about animals on the other side, that's a psychic power, to be able to access a living body right here and be able to share their body with us, with another soul. I had cameras set up with Gary due to his seizures, and he would sit up 10 minutes before he came home. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Cockapoo would start to tremble. Oh, how interesting. When his male owner would come home and run to you for comfort. Very, very interesting. So good, bad, or indifferent, they know when their owner is coming home. And I don't like to use the word owner. We've talked about this in other groups. I don't like to use the word owner, because I don't believe that any animal can be owned. We're caretakers, we are guardians, we are companions, we are partners. But the last thing we are is owners. And I love cats as my example for that. I believe that one of the psychic powers of cats is their ability to identify the appropriate human who's going to give them the level of care that they're looking for. Cats are very independent. Cats are, I would say cats are entirely independent, and they tolerate us humans. And one of the reasons that they connect with us humans is because we make really good caretakers. And then we fall in love with each other, and it becomes a whole different type of relationship. But cats are very psychically aware. Even dogs are aware of, and horses, I'm going to go with that too, especially since we're going to do a reading tonight for Remy. And horses often, right, who rescued who? They are the ones who find their humans. They are the ones who find the human that they are meant to be with. They track us down. We've talked about these soul contracts last week, and our little souls on the other side were just waiting for each other to connect here. And it's oftentimes the animal who makes all the moves, who makes the moves to get us together. And that is a form of psychic ability and psychic intuition. Let's see, what else do we want? All right. So what happens when they cross to the other side? When they cross to the other side, it's not so much that they have senses anymore. So the sense of hearing and smell and touch and taste, but we do. So they know how to access us. This is a full-blown psychic ability, and it's for all souls, not just animals. They know how to access our senses in order to get through to us. We say we want to get a sign from our animal companion because we want to know that they're still there. We want to know that they're on the other side. They want to send us a sign because they want to show us not only that we still have a relationship with them, but they want to show us just how amazing life is in the non-physical, what amazing powers we have. And they show us the ability that they have to connect with us by using our senses. So when we have one of the clairs that I talk about is clairalience, and clairalience is clear smelling. If you have ever received a scent of some kind, and you have gone, oh, that is the cologne that my grandmother used to wear. I can smell it so clearly. For me, my grandmother comes as a strong electrical burning smell. But that is, I smell pipe smoke. There's a scent of pipe. There's a pipe smoke, and it was my grandfather who smoked a pipe. I know that's because our souls on the other side of life can use our senses to demonstrate for us, not only are they still there for us, acting as guardians and support and comforters, they are still there for us to show us that life goes on, that there is nothing to be afraid of. People don't get stuck between worlds. Animals definitely don't get stuck between worlds. They are, and again, I say we've been Hollywooded to death. We get all of our sense of what is on this side of life and that side of life and ghosts and all that from Hollywood. That's the only way we know it, unless we've had an experience of our own, which is why our animals and our souls of people on the other side attempt to get through to us, because they want to demonstrate that it's real, that they can get through to us, that there is life after death, that there is nothing for us to be afraid of, and that there's no such thing even as life after death. And somebody has suggested that I make this one of the topics, and maybe it's going to be a topic for next week, that there's no such thing as the other side. It doesn't exist. The other side is not a thing, because they're right here in our heart. They're the other side, the Rainbow Bridge. It's right here, right now, right with us, just because we can't see it. That Rainbow Bridge is a place that we made up as humans because we need to be comforted to think that our animal companions are all this place where there's lovely running water and fields and beaches, and they're happy and running together and playing, which they are, but it's not someplace off in the distance. It's not someplace that we have to travel to when we die. When we die, it's going to be instant. It's going to be like that, faster than I can say the word instant. You are going to be reunited with your animal companion. But in the meantime, while we still inhabit our own physical bodies, they want to show us that life goes on. And so here's the psychic abilities that I think that they still have beyond the ability to use our own senses. They have the ability to manipulate energy. It's where the cloud things come from. And that reminds me that I have to post the pictures of the clouds. I've gotten even more pictures of our animal companions in clouds. And why is that? It is because it's easily manipulated energy. They can take that energy, and with our cooperation, it's mutual. When we see an image of them in the clouds, it's a mutual thing. We look up, they have rearranged the cloud, and we have rearranged our sight. We have rearranged our vision to be open to receive that kind of message. And so they send it with the clouds. So they can manipulate energy. They can access our senses. They have any kind of ability that you can possibly imagine. They can do it. They can make something move. We can make something move. It takes a little bit of practice. I haven't gotten there yet because I doubt it. We're going to get to doubt in just a second, because I question it and doubt it. But I know, just like if you've ever seen the movie Phenomenon, and in the movie Phenomenon, John Travolta takes a pencil and makes it spin. He can make it roll. And when he's asked how he does it, he simply says, it's a partnership. I asked, and I connected with the energy, and I asked that pen to move, and our energies intertwined, and the pencil, whatever it was, moved. And I do believe that is the way that it works, but there's some blocks. There are big blocks that stop us from being able to do something like move something physical. I have a fork here, but it's the same. It's the same theory. If you've ever watched anybody bend a spoon, there was an old timey guy, 1970s. Who did my mother love to go see? Kreskin, right? I think it was Kreskin who could just bend the spoon. All he did was look at the spoon and it bent. And you questioned whether or not it was real, except there are, God bless YouTube, God love YouTube. There are videos now, people who show you how to actually connect with the energy of the fork. And by working with the molecules, or the spoon, working with the molecules within it, they do bend. They will, even the smallest bit, they will bend without you pressing. Anyway, I digress. Animals can make objects move. If anybody has ever seen an object move or appear, a lost object that appears, or something that you thought you had lost or that you couldn't find, that was your animal companion, and all of a sudden it's there, they can manipulate energy in that way. They still have the ability to tap into our emotions and our energies. They know when we are sad. Think about a time when you might have been at your saddest after your animal companion crossed, and you are just, you're in that place, that really dark place. And I'm not going to describe it too much because I don't want any of us to have to go there based on my words. But you're in that dark place, and then all of a sudden, there's like this moment of peace. All of a sudden, in your heart, you're just like, maybe your breath hitches a moment, and you're like, oh, I just feel a moment of relief, just even for the briefest moment. That feeling of relief is your animal companion helping you to heal, helping you to recover. They want us to heal. They want us to recover. Easier said than done in some situations. I get it, because sometimes our animal companions were the only one who understood us, the only one who got us, but they still get us. They still understand us. We can connect with them anytime we choose. And I'm going to show you how to access your own psychic powers in just a minute. All right, comments. Let's check this. Finally got a rainbow from Lucy. Awesome, Karen. That's awesome. I love when they send rainbows. I have seen rainbows. The ones that strike my memory the most are Lucy, Winston, and Jack. All three had a rainbow. But when my clients get rainbows, when I was asked to sit with a beautiful little Cocker Spaniel named Annie, and we were at the top, we were up in Conifer in Colorado, and I was up in Conifer, and we went through a whole little ceremony, like I do with those beautiful with some of the beautiful animal companions that I share Reiki with. We went through the whole ceremony. The veterinarian was there. It was in home. And as when you drive down the mountain from Conifer, you literally drive down the mountain and you see the whole vista out in front of you, all of the plains, and this beautiful, beautiful rainbow. It was just stunning, the stunning beauty of the rainbow. And it fills your heart with peace to get those kinds of signs. It's a psychic ability for our animal companions to be able to send signs from the other side that we can clearly recognize if we just let ourselves be open to receive. So rainbows. I knew that place in 2008 when I was laid off during the recession. And it was my belly that kept me here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Is that the place that are you talking about the place that I was just describing? And Miriam says, the day my cat passed away, a beautiful cloud in the form of an angel. That's another photo that I have, is the angel in the cloud. It's another way that we are shown. Sometimes it's not their face that we see, or we don't see their face. And so they go, all right, let's get a little bit more obvious. And the angel wings, you cannot miss it when it's angel wings. It's just, yeah. It's a beautiful sign to see that also. Okay. Also, the way that they can reach us from the other side is unexplained warnings. This is both for people who are souls on the other side and animals who are souls on the other side. Any soul on the other side who is our deeply connected or companion, human or animal, has the ability to reach out to us with warnings. So unexpected warnings, intuition, like intuitive insight that you got to do this instead of that. You got to go this way instead of that way. And they have that. That is also a psychic ability for them to be able to reach out to us from the other side with those kinds of things. They also have warned of danger. I don't like to talk about all that. Like, you guys, when I see these it really does make me a little crazy. And some of us, you guys are members who watch a specific, we are all joint members of another channel that all of a sudden has gone really like, warning, warning, danger, danger, fight for your soul, blah. And I'm like, what? I don't understand. Because I'm not getting that from the animals. I'm most certainly not getting that from the animals. But they can, with precognition, let us know, perhaps warn isn't the best word. They can advise us, let us know, counsel us that perhaps there is an unexpected illness or another member of the family who's going to cross. And if we're open to those messages, then those are the kinds of things we receive. So why don't we see them all the time? Because we question and we doubt. It's the same reason that I can't move this pen across my desk, because I doubt my ability to do so. And my current brain, my brain that I have now, says to me, you know that you can do this. You absolutely know you can do this. But 60 plus years of conditioning by my culture, my society, my family, my education, my jobs, my everything, all of that is still deep inside me. That's all the things that I'm still working through, all the things and all the blocks that I'm trying to let go of, all those limiting beliefs that I'm trying to let go of. When someone says, what's your limiting belief? Is your limiting belief that you can't make $1 million? No, my limiting belief is that I can't move a pen across my desk. And that kind of makes a big difference as to limiting beliefs. So doubting and questioning. But it's why the animals are trying to get through to us. It's why the animal companions are really sending us all these signs and letting us talk about things that are psychic, because they want us to know that we can get past all that. If we let them, we can let the doubt go, and you can let the questions go. Suspend your disbelief, if just for a second. I mean, I use the analogy all the time. If you can believe that Tom Cruise is jumping from the top of a 100-story building in the Sahara Desert and landing on the ground without breaking a limb, you can believe that your animal companion can connect with you from the other side. It's a more likely scenario to believe that. So suspend your disbelief, if only for a moment, and watch how your animal companions come through. And one of the other things that we talked about, which will continue to be a subject, is when I was doing a reading recently, I think it was for Lucy, right? For your Lucy. I think it was Lucy who advised that it wasn't grief that was holding us back. It was anger that was holding us back. I can't remember if that was Lucy or not. Anyway, it wasn't grief. Grief does hold us back. When we keep ourselves down here in such a dense, dark place of grief, it's really hard for them to get through. They won't stop trying. They won't ever stop trying. They're one of their psychic powers, infinite patience, an infinite amount of patience. They will wait until we're ready, and they will keep on keeping on trying. But the thing that we were told, that we were advised, kept us even further away, was anger. Any anger that you may be feeling, anger for yourself, anger for a family member. For example, I know that there's someone who watches this channel who was so angry with her spouse, who left a door open, doggy got outside, and you can take it from there. The level of anger was so strong. Anger at a veterinarian for making a misdiagnosis or for missing something altogether. Anger at a veterinarian. I've seen, these are all examples that I've seen. Anger at a veterinarian whose demeanor was not, there was definitely some, what do we call that? Why can't I think of the name of it? When we lose the ability to have compassion fatigue. There we go. Anger for the lack of compassion from a veterinarian. There's a lot of anger at ourselves for missing something, anger at ourselves for doing something wrong, anger at anybody. That level of anger is even more profoundly impactful than the grief. It really keeps us. So if we can find a way to forgive, I practice Ho'oponopono. You guys have heard me say this before. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And what's the first word? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Even if you're holding somebody else responsible, that's what Ho'oponopono means. Ho'oponopono is unconditional forgiveness. Unconditional forgiveness. Sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow, Sometimes it's a really hard pill to swallow. But when you feel the relief, when you feel that burden lifted right off of your shoulders, and then it's like a crack in the door, your animal companion zips right in. And then the anger just kind of like dissipates as if it never existed. And you could recall it. And there may be days when you come back and do recall it. You can recall it and bring it back to mind. But I truly am a proponent of forgive and forget. If we haven't forgotten, then we haven't forgiven. And unconditional forgiveness is the way for that. But anywho, these are the things that prevent us from opening our own ability to receive, and our ability to receive messages and signs from animal companions on the other side is a psychic ability. It is psychic intuition to be able to receive those messages. Okay, let me take a look at a couple of comments, then I'm going to take you guys through a little exercise and we'll do Remy's reading. Signs slow down a lot since you got a new pup. Okay, let's talk about that for a real quick. Here's what I have learned from Gypsy. If you haven't heard this before, Kali, right? Kali, is that? I think that's, and then there was me. Our animal companions have a way of letting their personality flow into the new animal that we have brought into our home. So Gypsy is the example that I use. Gypsy had a very specific personality. She had been injured as a small pup, injured in a way that was traumatic, and she was all kinds of things happened. I won't give you the whole story. It was not good, and she ended up in my home, aggressive, afraid, unsure, insecure. You name all the things that you might think of when you have a traumatized dog, and that's what Gypsy was. And then as Gypsy began to live here, she began to take on her own little personality. She began to trust. She began to love. My husband and I worked very closely with her. And now after 4 years, I see all of my dogs in Gypsy. She has adopted very, very specific personality traits that were unique to each of my dogs. Each one of them had a certain thing that they did that is not something that was easily mimicked. She has taken on different personality traits. I take that as a sign. When I meditate, and I meditate with animals, I close my eyes, I ask for insight, I ask to speak, I ask to talk. Jack let me know that it was his time to actually return to the beautiful cosmic soup of souls. I don't know how else to describe it. That he was going to be returning back to source. That he was not going to be reincarnating. That I would still have, and we would still be connected and have access, but he was not going to be as engaged as Lucy is all the time. So there may be that. I mean, there's always this beautiful connection that they are there waiting for us to return to non-physical too. But the things that Gypsy does that only Jack did, it's like a little piece of his soul has come down into her. That is a sign. That in itself is a sign. So I would just watch your new little pup and see if they don't adopt some of the behaviors, and see if you don't look into his or her eyes and notice something about your animal companion that was there before. It's the more that you, I'm looking at Rosie's comment now, the more that you are open to this, the more that you are just let yourself feel happy, let yourself know that, it just feels good to know that they are still there. Even if I didn't get my sign today, although you did, they're always giving us signs. Even if I feel like I didn't talk to Lucy today, it's just such a good feeling to know that she's with me, to know that she's here, to know that I've got a pal, to know that if I need some advice and guidance, that I got a little guardian angel named Lucy on the other side. That alone opens more doors than you can possibly imagine. It just changes things for you, because you will become more and more attuned with everything. Attuned not just with your animals on the other side, but with nature, with the earth, with each other, with people. Relationships will just suddenly start to get easier. Everything shifts when we kind of make this little breakthrough. And our animals are the ones who teach us how to do it. How your heart must melt with seeing how far Gypsy has come. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's and she put her armor aside. Right. Oh, that's a really good way to put it, Kim. She was wearing armor. The day when I brought her home, she was absolutely wearing armor. And all this sun is making me look like I've got weirdness on my face here. Give me 10 seconds. Let me see if I can close this blind. There we go. Someday I'll get a studio. Someday this won't just be my little home office and I'll have the whole setup and the whole works. But all right, let's see. Pup is his name. Oh, that's cool. 2 years old, very sweet, just neutered. Okay, yeah, he's still got puppy in him. He's still got a lot of puppy in him. So, yep, I know it's going to be a wonderful experience for you. Okay, here's what I want to teach you. I want to give you like Psychic Intuition 101, how you can do this. I always wanted to be psychic. I watched every psychic TV show growing up. I watched all these. I think there was called The Sixth Sense was a show. I watched them all. I watched everything. I watched every movie. My dad was right with me. And I always thought that it was either only special people, like only special people with a special gift were the ones who could do this, or that it wasn't real, or that it was magic, or wouldn't it be nice? And I never believed that I could. And it wasn't until Lucy crossed that all of a sudden I realized I was still connected. And your animal companions, to each and every one of you, is let me share space with your animal companions. Each and every one of them has shown me that we all have this natural ability. Now, I am also a Reiki master, and Reiki is just about knowing that you are one with everything, knowing you're one with everything, and that everything without exception is pure positive love. It flows to, through, and around us all the time. But in our human condition, we kind of build a wall, we turn it off, we wear all of our own armor that stops us from feeling these connections and from awakening and strengthening and harnessing our psychic abilities. So where was I going with that? Oh, then I thought I couldn't do it, and I always wanted to do it. And Lucy opened the door for me. And once I realized that I could, that's when I started to put the doubts aside. Once I realized that this is something that if I can do it, everybody can do it. And I know that especially with weight loss, that's an icky thing to hear. If I could lose 50 pounds, you can lose 50 pounds. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Yeah. Okay. Good for you. But I promised you I've taught Animal Mystic Masterclass. I've taught a psychic development class. I teach it again and again and again because I still go to a psychic development class here in Denver. Because I want to keep heightening my own abilities and my own connections. So I know this. So I'll give you an example. I go to this psychic development class here in the Denver area. It's in person, and doesn't have anything to do with animals, although I always bring the animal component into it. There's usually between 12 and 15 people that get together once a month for these little meetings. And we are average, everyday, run-of-the-mill people. That's it. We walk in and we all look like anybody that you would pass on the street, anybody that you would see at work, anybody you would see in the grocery store. But we've all come to realize that we have a gift and we need to practice it, and we need to support each other, and we need to help more people, and the more people and the more people and the more people. And animals are saying the same thing. We got to wake these people up. And the more people we wake up, and then we can all live happily ever after. Okay. So here's my little exercise for you. Psychic Power 101. Your ability to access your psychic intuition, which can simply mean being more open to receiving signs from the other side, or it can be anything. It can be learning how to trust your intuition. We talked about some of the tools. I think that was two or 3 weeks ago. I showed you how to use little tools to start to trust your intuition. Well, you can really develop clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience when you're aware of them. So if you are aware of a thought, where did that thought come from? There's no such thing as just imagination. It is your imagination. Imagination is the fabric of everything. It's how we create our own reality. The thoughts we think are real. The thoughts we think carry power. So how we think and how we control our thoughts We want to be the ones controlling our thoughts. We do not want our thoughts controlling us. We've all been on the crazy train where that thought just takes you down the wrong way. And the next thing you know, you're thinking more and more and more about it. If anybody watches Abraham Hicks, it's called the 17-second rule. If you are going to give into a thought, don't let it be for longer than 17 seconds. Because once it's 17 seconds, it has gained traction, and thought creates thought creates thought creates thought. So instead, we've got to kind of flip it around. So that's one part, is that we want to be able to think our own thoughts and not have our thoughts think us. The second thing is a thing called heart-brain coherence. If you look up an organization, I might have brought this up before, I probably have, called the Heart Math Institute. And I want to say it's heart-math.org. I could be wrong about that, but the Heart Math Institute is a nonprofit organization of scientists. It's not, and why we have to have scientists to prove everything, but we do, who have validated that everything from our health to our psychic abilities, everything is tied, disease, stress, everything is tied to balance. The balance between our brain and our heart in particular. Personally, I believe there's 3 parts to this. I believe it's our brain, our heart, and our core. So I think our core is about nutrition, our heart is about the emotions that we feel, and our brain is how we think about everything. And when we are on the crazy train, it makes our brain out of alignment with the things we might be feeling. And then, of course, we might then be eating the wrong things. It's all a circle that we can end. So the Heart Math Institute talks about ways to balance that. Again, this kind of goes back to Reiki, which is all about balancing anyway. Or if you've practiced yoga, it's about balance. If you've heard of the chakras, it's about balance. If you've heard of sacred geometry, it's all about alignment and balance. So if we can find a way to balance those things, then it helps us awaken our psychic abilities. So tonight, what I'm going to do is take you in a little exercise. Then we're going to do the reading for Remy. I want you to do this exercise first because it can help. I can't say it will because I don't know where you are personally at in your thought process. And if you even want to, you don't have to do any of this. This is only if it's something that you would like to pursue. When we breathe and we focus on our heart. So if you want to do this with me, if you're in a place where you can, if you're driving, of course, please don't close your eyes or take your hands off the wheel. Come back to this at another time. If you can touch your heart space, so right where your heart is, when you just make that connection with your fingers, that alone brings you in touch with your heart. Your heart center, your heart chakra, your heart, whatever you want to call it, your actual physical heart has neurons. It has its own thinking system. Your heart is the most powerful energy center in your entire being, even more than your head, even more than your brain, even more than your gut, all of which have their own set of neurons and have their own little systems going on. Your heart is the most powerful. It's why when we have therapy horses, why you can go into the presence of a horse, and this comes up from Remy, why you can be in the presence of a horse and be calmed. It's because your hearts are connecting. A horse's heart space goes far beyond, like up to 12 feet beyond its body, naturally. And if a horse turns to choose on its little heart space, it can go for like 50 feet. They measure electromagnetic fields that come off of the heart. And that's part of what the Heart Math Institute does, is measure the coherence between the heart and the brain. So when we start thinking thoughts that are stress related, our heart is out of alignment, and that's when everything goes out of alignment. But when we can touch our heart with eyes closed, and you just focus on your breath and imagine, visualize, think, or just know that every time you breathe into your heart, that you are helping your heart be stable. You are helping your heart send out signals that are calm and peaceful. And when you make it a regular habit, that's also when things start to change. You will notice the oddest little things that used to irritate you that no longer irritate you, people that used to irritate you that not only no longer irritate you, but somehow they just fall away from your experience. everything, or you'll become the person that walks down the street and that dogs are drawn to, that squirrels are drawn to. It's all by focusing on our heart space. And then it's a little form of meditation, but it doesn't have to be sitting on a pillow chanting things. It's just about focusing on your heart space and trusting and knowing that your heart can regulate everything within your body. And when you start to focus on that, breathing into your heart and just touching your heart, your brain can't think anything. Like my brain just turned off. There were no other thoughts in my mind at that moment in time when I was concentrating on my heart. That is heart and brain coherence. When you have heart and brain coherence, that's when your natural abilities begin to take over. And you may have heightened awareness of your senses. You may have heightened awareness of your own intuition, your intuition that then gives you the ability to see clearly, hear clearly, know clearly, to know things that others don't know, simply because you're making yourself aware. You don't have to think of it as some magic psychic ability where you need a crystal ball to look into the future. It's about your intuition and trusting that you have a whole team on your side that is not visible because they're not in the physical. So you align your heart and your brain, and you begin to open the connection to your animals on the other side. Not only will they send you signs, but you'll be able to connect with them. Now do this in the morning when you first wake up. Start your day with your heart in coherence. It shifts everything. It changes everything. And then watch the magic start to happen. It just will. Things will just appear for you. Things will start to happen. And things will shift in your favor. Let me look at some comments. Hello, everybody. Hello, good to see you guys. Hideous Sales. Why do I forget your name? I have to start making a list. I've got to start making a list of all the little handles and everybody's name so that I don't forget, because I love you guys. You guys are so supportive and so awesome in this group. When I do a reading, I tend to place my hands on my heart. Yep. I see the comment that says, animals have been drawn to me my whole life, but I still say ooh to people. Present company excluded, right? We often do this. This is an easy thing. If I have to do, I do a morning meditation. I do a morning kind of ritual. It's a Reiki ritual where I say to myself things like, just for today, I don't worry. Just for today, I won't be angry. Just for today, I like to say, just for today, I let go of worry. Just for today, I release the anger. Just for today, I'm kind to myself. Just for today, I'm true to myself. I always keep my hands right here. So it is a common theme to do that. But also just taking a couple fingers, placing it right on your heart center. You can feel it. It's like your heart is feeling your fingers from the inside out. Instead of your fingers feeling your heart, it's like your heart is feeling your fingers. So it's that easy to start a practice where you can open your psychic abilities. And then if you want to, I'm going to start teaching another psychic class. You guys, whoever wants to join me, you can join me. If anybody's interested in that kind of thing. Because I dispel some of the myths. I dispel a lot of the myths. I dispel this whole Hollywood-induced, religious-induced evil spirits thing. We go to, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother channel. Okay, last comment. My pendant with Gary's ashes around my neck. Yes, I don't have Winston's pendant on. I haven't worn it for a little while now because it's like it doesn't stay secure anymore. So I've got to get some adhesive or something it won't stay securely closed. But yes, I always, and the pendant hangs and it has a little heart on it. It has his name tag, which was a heart, and a little angel wing. And I love to wear it right by my heart. Let's talk about, and you guys can let me know if there's any questions. With Benny's ashes. Yep. And you can use it as a pendulum. Yep. And a pendulum is not any witchy thing. It's no witchcraft. A pendulum is simply a tool that we can use to trust our own intuition. We know what we don't know, and we just don't let ourselves trust our intuition. And so we use little tools that help us better understand. And then, for regular decision making, I haven't used my pendulum in ages because I also trust my animals. Let's do a reading for Remy. Remy is the first horse that we've had a reading for. And the pictures that I received of Remy, magnificent. The most magnificent horse, were like a reddish brown, a beautiful reddish brown color, just absolutely beautiful. And Remy was the animal companion to a little girl, to an 11-year-old girl. And so that is who this reading is for. Her mama reached out, but hopefully for a message for, and it was all about 11-year-old girl. So I will tell you what I received from Remy. Remy, the most gorgeous horse, crossed very young. Remy crossed very young. Now, this was a little bit challenging for me because I know so much about horses and I understand a lot of the things that can result in the early passing, the early physical transition of a horse to the other side. So I tried to let that go, but it's still up here. So I will share with you what came through to me. So Remy was only with his family for a short period of time. But the first thing that came to me was the initial E, just a big capital E. And I don't know what that stands for. So if you can let me know if you want to comment in the comments. I don't know if I see, I'm just looking to see any comments. No, I don't see Remy's human on. So it may be just on the replay. The initial E. But you can always let me know. And you guys know you can always send me emails too. I always try to look for the follow-up emails in between all the other ones. Hard because I know some of the reasons that horses cross. Yep, but I did get a sense of something in the hindquarters. Now, the way I'm going to describe this is really weird. I got a sense of something at the base of the tail, at the base of where the Remy's tail met his back legs, and then up and down the spine. There was this sensation up and down the spine, right to my neck, like there was something. I don't know that I can't, I have no words to describe this feeling, like this tingling, like pins and needles. That's the way I would describe it. Pins and needles up and down my spine, between the base of my neck and where the two back legs are. But all is well. That's the one thing that Remy wants you to know more than anything else, is that everything is okay. All is well. He wants his little girl to know that his crossing helped another horse. And I asked a little follow-up question about that. What do you mean it helped another horse? That there was another horse, and I don't know if it was your horse or another horse that was perhaps being treated by a veterinarian or someone. I don't know if you had holistic care for your horse, but I did get a sense of like laser therapy or equine massage. There's some other animal care professional who may have recognized the illness in Remy, and whatever it is, it helped another horse with the same diagnosis. So Remy's crossing enabled another horse to live, and he wants you to know that. He wants you to know that his crossing was not in vain, that there was a purpose for it. And he has more things to say. He loved working with, I should say your daughter. I'm going to assume that that little girl's not watching this particular message. Loved working with her. That some horses hate the jobs that they are assigned by humans. And that's exactly the way that it came through. That some horses absolutely hate the jobs that are given to them without choice by humans. And that includes jumping. That was one of the things that includes jumping. Some horses do it because they are compliant. Other horses do it because they know that they'll be punished if they don't. But Remy loved it. Remy loved his job. He adored his human, and he will come back as soon as he is asked. So that means whenever you are ready, he will come back as soon as he was asked. And you will, how will you know? How will you know that it's him? Because he had a very unique heart signature. I had this picture of little girl riding bareback. Now, I don't know if she ever did this, but I just got a sense that she was on his back, and there is nothing more intimate than that connection with a horse. Now, I personally don't ride anymore. I used to love to ride horses until I understood them to be sentient beings. And unless I was invited, and the only horse that has ever invited me was, what was that? What was that horse's name? Can't even think of it now. Comanche. It was a horse named Comanche who invited me to ride bareback. I've never felt anything as powerful as that connection when you are physically connected to a horse in a way that because there's something about that. And I know this has meaning for you. There's something about the power that a horse has that could throw you off his back at any moment in time, but the power that you have to just love and be grateful and thankful. And I got this beautiful picture and this beautiful feeling of a young girl riding bareback on Remy, and that the connection was heart to heart. It was a true heart to heart connection at that moment in time. And when it's time for him to return, when it's time to have another horse come back into her life, that's how she's going to know. She's going to know that it's him by their unique heart signature. She'll recognize it right away. Okay, no, that was it. You guys know when I do automatic writing, it's a complete scrawl. She used to whisper something to him. She whispered something in his ear. Only she knows what it is. So, Mama, you don't know what this is. She used to whisper something in his ear that he absolutely loved. He loves in the present tense the sound of her voice. Loves the sound of her voice right next to his ear. There's something that she would whisper specially just for him in his ear. And he loves that feeling, even that little whisper feeling in his ear. Here's the other. This was the really cool part of the message. Number one, his little companion, his partner. That's how he referred to her. His partner was wise beyond her years. Wise beyond her years. That she feels that she is part horse. She feels as if she is literally part horse. She secretly holds this feeling. I get a sense that she's never told anybody this. Secretly holds the feeling that she is part horse, and it will always make her better. A better companion, a better partner, a better teacher, a better caretaker of horses. This has to do specifically with horses. She will always be better at it, like a little mini horse whisperer. She'll always be better at it because she thinks she is part horse. And that was really the message that he left me with. If you want to share that with her, that she's horse. She is horse. And that's her little secret, that he knows it. So that's how the two of them will always know how to reconnect. There won't be any question about it. They'll know how to reconnect. Okay, that concludes our little reading for this evening. I'm going to look at the comments. Excuse me. One last time. Let me take a drink. I'll wrap things up here for tonight. I've got lots of pictures to post. I still have lots of follow-up to do. Lots of pictures to post. I'm going to be, I have a little bit of time coming up on my hands, so I'm going to really devote it to this particular community and getting you guys, making sure that you have everything that you need to support you and to support each other. Found a place in the UK that will put ashes into vinyl records. Oh, interesting. There are so many things. I've seen beautiful sculptures. You can go onto Etsy and find a number of things. There's crystals, there's jewelry, there's so much that you can have done with our beautiful animal companions' remains. Okay, now I'm thinking it was like a 60-minute. Oh, okay. And so you guys go chat amongst yourselves. Rode your horse bareback often. Isn't it a strong bond? Yes, there was. If a horse does not want you to ride them bareback, you won't ride them. You're off. I've once been thrown by a horse, and the fault was all mine. But if you're bareback on a horse, it is the most complete form of trust. There's no more powerful sense of trust than that kind of connection with a horse. All right, you guys are so welcome. All right, then we're going to wrap this one up, call it a night, and I will see you all again next week or sometime in the middle between now and then. Thursdays, July 11th is when we're going to start doing like the intro to animal communication. I'll make sure that gets posted in the channel this evening. And I think that about wraps it up. So my friends, thank you for joining me. Thank you for supporting each other. Thank you for being part of this wonderful community. Oh, I have been reminded that I am supposed to say, if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and please click the bell button and please subscribe to this channel because it helps. It does really help. I say those things facetiously because it's annoying when I see them on other channels, but it really does help to spread the word about this channel and about all the information. All right, my friends, until next time. Yep, see you Thursday. Absolutely. And may animals light your way. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.